you are. Hello.
Hi, dear. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm good. Loving the hair.
Oh my gosh, I was hoping you wouldn't notice. It looks scary.
It's beautiful. I
It
can't
looks
see the mine
scary.
turn white like that.
Well, we'll see. I was growing it out before the pandemic started, but we'll see. I'm
Well,
not sure how I feel about it.
well, it looks good to me, if that
Well,
helps.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to do this diversity chat with me.
Thank you for inviting me.
This is going to be pretty organic, so I am going to start by asking you to tell me a little bit about yourself, like your name, family, friends, work, anything you want to share so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Okay, well, my name is Dana Norvell. Do you want my last name? I forgot the other questions already. Let's see.
Family, friends, work, anything you want to share to help us get to know you a little bit better.
So I'm from Charlotte originally. That's where I grew up, and that's where my mom and siblings live still. I've got an aunt and uncle and some cousins there as well. And then pretty large family. We're kind of all over. So all over North Carolina and then all over the U.S. I think I even have a cousin who's in Indonesia right now. Let's see, my work, I work at Duke just like you do, and that's how I met you at the law school working with you. And I don't know what else to say about myself. Let's see, I have a couple of kids that I adore, 2 sons, they're grown, and a little puppy who's keeping me sane during the pandemic.
Amen. Amen. So, in light of what has been happening in the nation around you, how have you seen this, and what have you thought about it, both good and bad?
Well, the good part is that I feel like, sorry, that's my computer. Let me see if I can, does that affect can you still hear me if I do that?
I hear you perfectly.
Oh, shoot. Okay, never mind. It turned off all the sound altogether. We're going to try to turn off that notification. The good part, I think, is I feel like we really are moving towards some real change. I feel like we're part of a really historic, huge movement that is already really big and is going to be really big, like maybe civil rights movement big. That's where I'm hoping we're going. And I think that's something good that's come out of it. Of course, the bad that's come out of it. There's so much that's bad that's come out of it. It's gosh, where do I even start? It's I guess, I can't remember who I was texting, and I said, we still have lynching here in 2020.
Absolutely.
Lynching is still happening. And even with this movement, something just happened down in Atlanta. And people protesting police brutality have had to deal with police brutality while protesting peacefully. So, when we see in North Carolina, for example, just it was discouraging because I don't know, I guess I was hoping it was different here, but it was discouraging to realize that we could have armed protesters protesting. Who knows what they were protesting really, except that they wanted to reopen the economy and not wear masks. And they can carry guns down to the Capitol and not be met with a police force in riot gear with rubber bullets and tear gas. And then you have people who are truly protesting peacefully, and it disintegrates because I think in large part because of the vast difference in the way they're met just by the police. There's already this systemic history of problems with the police and the African American community, and it's just perpetuated. It just continues. continue. So there's so many bad things, and understanding, that as a white person, I've benefited from the kind of privilege that I've benefited from, and feeling guilt about that, and wondering what my role is in that, how I contribute to that. Just a lot of things that I don't know, just make you really think a lot and wonder, how can you be part of something more positive and part of the change? Feeling helpless, and then realizing, hey, maybe actually we're not helpless if we're part of this big movement. So I don't know, just a lot of thoughts, just lots of overwhelming thoughts.
So let me ask you this. You raised both of these points. So let me ask you exactly, why do you feel guilty?
I think it just being white and benefiting from my whiteness. I think that's part of it. That's probably the biggest part of it. I think it's probably not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I don't know if it's okay for me to talk about this, but I remember when you told me that Everett was about to drive, and you and Skip had to sit him down and have a conversation with him about how to stay alive if he were ever pulled over for no reason. And he's such a good kid.
Yeah.
I mean, why would he be pulled over? There wouldn't be any reason. I know he's a law-abiding, like one of the best kids that I've met. And so, not even ever having that thought cross my mind, for my own sons or even for Everett. Like, I remember that just being really news to me. Like, I never thought about that, and how distressing it is to think that that could even happen.
How do you feel you contribute to it?
How do I contribute to it?
The systemic racism. How do you think you contribute to that?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I mean, I think not doing much, not having been a very political person until probably the last 3.5 years. I mean, I did my civic duty and I voted for who I thought, was the best candidate, but not really feeling very motivated or to do much, beyond that. Mm-hmm. And realizing that actually my voice is important. So I guess that would be one way that I feel like I've contributed, or maybe not contributed in a positive way would be another way to put it. But
so you and I have been friends for a long time, but you have a voice louder than mine. You actually have a voice in a platform simply because of your race. Where even these diversity chats that I'm doing, and I've done a few now and done with some pretty important people and then just some ordinary people. And my intention is to get information from the people in the trenches up outside of just where you are, because what you just described with Everett, and a lot of people don't even realize that these things happen to Black people and brown people, that they are there. So have you ever felt uncomfortable with me?
No, I don't think so. Maybe when you got mad at me. You're disappointed with me.
How about when you come to some of the parties we have? Have you ever felt uncomfortable being not necessarily the majority in a room of people, of diverse people?
I don't think that's been a surprising thing. You'd think that maybe I would, but I don't think I have. Mm-hmm. Except for, I think when we first knew each other and I first came to some of the parties, I had more of a social anxiety, where I was more coming just because I wanted, to come because you're my friend. But sometimes parties with a lot of people I don't know make me nervous, just generally. But as I've gotten to know you and your family and your friends more, I don't feel that even that social anxiety. But no, surprisingly, I haven't felt. I've noticed it. I can't say I didn't notice it, but I mean, you've got good friends. I mean, you've got good family, and so I feel welcome.
Yeah. I am blessed. Thank you very much for that. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever had a concern with your sons driving down the road to and from or interacting in the larger society? Have you ever had a fear for their well-being?
I think I had fears, but I don't think they were based on the color of their skin. They were just the fears that a mom would have over raising boys who think that they're, invincible and not making the best choices because that frontal lobe is not fully developed yet. Just more of those kind of thoughts and single mom worries, where, maybe if I had, a partner here, a male partner here who was saying, that's pretty much what we do when we're that age, I probably wouldn't have worried as much. But based on skin color or like what we talked about just a few minutes ago about sitting my son down like you had to do with Everett, no, I haven't had those kind of fears. And when you told me that story, I was like, wow, I've just taken that for granted, even being friends with you, not to have that thought cross my mind, knowing what I know has happened in this country, and almost like being in a bubble, I guess, just like, it won't happen. It won't happen again. It won't happen here. It won't happen to my friends. But no, I've never had to worry about sitting my sons down and saying, I remember you were very specific about the things that you told Everett, make sure that your hands are in view, that they're where the police officer can see them. Don't, I can't remember all the different things that you told me, but I was like, I never had that conversation with either of my boys.
How would you feel if either of your boys married someone outside of their race?
I think I would be fine with it as long as they were nice people.
Very good. Very, very good. So let me ask you this. As a woman, have you faced discrimination? Have you faced times where you felt you were oppressed by those above you or beside you or below you in any way, just as a white woman?
As a woman, I think, yeah, sure. I think people of my generation and well, particularly people in my generation and older, I think all of us have had experiences where we've dealt with sexism. Sometimes it was somewhat overt and sometimes it was more subtle. I think I still deal with that to some degree.
And how do you respond to it? What do you do when you encounter it?
Well, I think when I was younger, I just thought this is normal. This is just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we just deal with. And I think as I've gotten older, I feel more resentful or just opposed to it. Just like, this is bullshit. We shouldn't have to put up with this, and neither should the young women who are coming up behind us. So yes, I think most of us have dealt with, most women have had to deal with that kind of sexism.
Have you felt empowered to confront the person who had either harassed or discriminated against you? Did you feel strong enough that you could stand up and say, hey, don't do that, that's not right?
It depends on the situation. I think like in an employment situation, that the playing field's not level. Right. And so there's greater risk to speak up for yourself or for others. And so definitely that gives you pause. Yeah. And might even prevent you from doing anything. I will say the older I get, the more vocal I get. Mm-hmm. And I have actually spoken to someone where I said, that's kind of sexist. And I knew the reaction would be, me, sexist? No way. I knew it was going to be, and I knew it would bother this person to think that he might be being sexist. Mm-hmm. But I said it. But that's because I'm older now, and I don't know. I guess I'm growing a bigger set of balls.
So the older we get, the stronger we get. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Or maybe just we just don't care anymore. Like, this might be foolish, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I don't like not saying it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you ever had to respond or behave differently around your Black friends and your white friends, both who know you but don't know each other?
Hmm.
So in other words, if you were intimately close to, and I don't mean intimately in a carnal sense, but really, really close to a Black person and really, really close to a white person, but neither one of those persons knew each other, would you have to behave or interact differently so you didn't make the white friend feel uncomfortable, or conversely make the Black friend feel uncomfortable?
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. It possibly did happen, but I can't think of any examples if it did.
Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so let's talk about the nitty gritty here. So 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Can you hold your breath that long?
Nope.
What would happen if you did?
I would pass out.
Die. Maybe.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't die if I was holding my breath, because if I was holding my breath, I'd be able to breathe again as soon as I passed out. But
Right.
if someone was holding my breath for me, yes, I would die.
So what did you think have you seen the video?
I did not watch it. So I had two feelings about that. I had read um, when, what was his name? The guy that was Arbery, what's his first name? Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
So I had read a commentary about that, and someone had said they thought it was disrespectful to Ahmaud and to his family to have this death video going viral where everybody was watching the last moments of his life, and that struck me. I try to think to myself, what would I want in that situation? And I thought, maybe that's right. Maybe I should. And I've heard it called murder porn. I've heard it called police snuff videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is part of why I did not let myself watch it. But I think part of it was just insulating myself and protecting myself, because I knew that it was not something I would ever forget, because there are things I've let myself watch decades ago that are still imprinted. And so I didn't let myself watch it, although of course I've seen clips of it and I've read about it. And yeah.
I'm a 61-year-old Black woman. I am pretty smart, I think. I have a great network of friends and family. But someone has had their knee on my neck my entire life. And I say that in terms of promotion, pay, fair treatment, name calling, microaggressions. Have you had any such similar experiences?
I think the closest thing that I've had has been just dealing with sexism, but have I had anything based on the color of my skin? No.
Are you paid equitably to people who do the same job you do or have similar roles?
Most of them are female, so that's probably, yes, I probably am. Say that again.
Have you ever sought to advance beyond the job you're in now to a higher level and been met with resistance or being told you're not the best candidate?
I don't know how much I want to get into that. I
But,
think
you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. We can bypass it.
well, I think you remember there's some situations where, yes, of course, I wanted to advance, and that didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
But I think I'm not going to get into that right now.
No worries. That's perfectly fine. So going back to Mr. Floyd's death, in the last 5 to 6 years, can you count how many Black or brown men have died at the hands of law enforcement?
I don't know how many, but it's been a bunch. It's been a bunch.
So
Do you know the exact number?
oh yeah, I know all of them. But I would say this to you, and this is my statement to white people just in general. You should know all of them. You should know every last one of them. In 1998, a man named James Byrd Jr. had a rope put around his neck, tied to the back of a pickup truck, and drugged for 3 miles, literally decapitating him. Another form of lynching.
Yep.
As a Black woman, and I speak only for myself, I'm tired. I'm hurt. I'm afraid. I have a Black husband and have a Black son and a Black daughter. Every time they leave me to go about their daily duties, I pray that they get there, and I pray until they get there. And when they tell me they're on the way home, I pray that way too. Because what can happen to you can happen to you in a flicker of a moment. You know, now what I've heard about Mr. Floyd and Garner and various people, they were committing some kind of petty crime. And the story for Mr. Floyd is that he had a counterfeit $20 bill, which equated his life to $20.
Yep.
And so when I think about these situations, I'm sure I have a different view than you do because you don't live it like I do.
Right.
But it is very, very important for white people to get involved because your silence really is contribution to the movement. So if you hear something or see something or encounter something, that you stand up and say, hey, that's not right. I think your words about voting is absolutely important. Vote for people who care about the issues that you care about, you know, whether they're local, national, regional. Vote for people who care about what you care about so that you can see these changes. But then I add this. If you have Black and brown friends, pick up the phone and ask them how they're doing. Ask them if they need anything. Be an ear for them to listen to. Share your stories of things that have happened to you over the years that you may have in common. But to me, what white people can do more than anything else is get involved and listen to their Black friends and colleagues. Because most times we are muted. You know, when you said the thing you wouldn't talk about, that's my life every day. I could sit here and tell you atrocities that you would not believe what happened to someone at work, but they do. And I have no voice. I have no platform. And if I were to speak about them, I could be fired because we are a right to work state. So there you go. So all these people who have died for various reasons at the hands of law enforcement. People say, well, yeah, they must have been doing something wrong. And then they retort back to, well, there's a lot of Black on Black crime. And sometimes I shake my head to that because there's a lot of white on white crime. There's a lot of brown on brown crime. So why is it that there's Black on Black crime equate to police or law enforcement crime? Why is that so much a correlation?
Is that a question you're asking me, or?
Yes, I'm asking.
Well, I mean, I think something that I read about, I think it was just today, is that it just, and I hadn't thought about this, but I think it's true, is that this is just a continuation of, I think the author who said it compared the police today to overseers in the days of slavery, and they had no oversight and they could do whatever they wanted without punishment. And it's a continuation. It's continued since then all the way through today.
Yeah.
It is a systemic thing that has never been corrected.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. This is my last question, and then I'll leave time for you to talk if you have anything you want to share. But this is my last question. What is it like to be a white woman in America?
I think we take a lot for granted. That's the big thing. I think I grew up taking a lot for granted, not really being aware of my privilege. I don't know what I'd say beyond that.
Well, you said the word privilege, so and I've heard that a lot recently, white privilege. What is white privilege?
I'd say one example of white privilege is not even thinking about having to sit my sons down and talk to them about how to stay alive if they're pulled over because of the color of their skin. That's an example of privilege, something that I have been able to take for granted and didn't even have to worry about, and didn't even think about you having to worry about. There's so many other levels as well. There's so many examples of that. I mean, gosh, I mean, it's just probably daily.
Yeah. So you graduated from UNC Chapel Hill?
Mm-hmm.
And from what I remember when we worked together, you were incredibly creative.
Thanks.
With your education and your background, would you consider yourself at the place where you are supposed to be financially, career-wise? Are you good?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Why?
But there are a variety of reasons for that. Gosh, I don't know if I want to go into it all.
Don't go into it if you don't want to. I'm not asking you to. I'm just
I
asking.
mean, I would just say, I think, single parents, they have something stacked against them automatically, and the children of single parents. And so I think that probably put me in a position where I didn't have, I don't know how to explain it, but I think it factors in. I think single women, I think being a woman, I think, when my father was ill, and a lot of women find themselves in that situation where they're also caring for an aging parent, that can factor in, because women do have so many additional responsibilities outside of work on them. And I think that often weighs against us as women, and keeps us from moving as far along in our careers as we would like. So just little things like that.
Thank you for that. Well, this is the last 2 minutes. They're yours. If you have anything you want to say to me or to the larger community, use your platform.
I don't. I'd rather hear more of what you have to say. I feel like I've been talking more than listening, really.
I really don't have, so you know how I feel. I'm an advocate for women, regardless of their gender, their race, whatever it is. I am an advocate. I believe that everybody should be given an equal opportunity at the table to the American dream. I think my time knowing you, which has been quite a bit, there have been times where I have not always been available to you when you've called or asked to talk to me or see me, because I have to protect myself, because there are so many times where people are asking things from me where I don't have the strength or the resources to give. So it's not meant that I am ignoring you or I don't appreciate you, because I do. I think I've said this to you many times. I think you are hypercritical of yourself, which is unfortunate because you have so much to give the world. You're such a creative woman. You can take the least little thing and make it into something fantastically beautiful. And that's a gift from God. And so the fact that you are white, the fact that you have white privilege, means that to have me as your friend means you have to help me and my kind have a voice. So I ask this of you, as you think through this, and as the world continues to protest and march and do whatever they're doing, you figure out how you can lend your voice to help me, and not just me, but people that look like me, men and women, children, young and old, black and brown, white, pink, green, and orange, and all the other colors in the rainbow. But use your voice. If you hear, I'll tell you a story I heard at Duke a couple of years ago. The department had hired an Indian woman, and I guess the flavor of their food is pretty strong. I don't know exactly what they were complaining about, but whatever it is, they kept telling her to eat outside. You know, she couldn't use their microwave because her food was just so strong, and they didn't like the smell of it. If you hear and encounter things like that, speak up. Stand there with that person, because sometimes we're standing all alone. I can say I'm a senior manager at a major university, and I'm voiceless and invisible 90% of the time. And that's hard. And I have no one standing with me. What more than likely happens is those that were standing around with me, they turn around and point their fingers at me and say, yep, that's what's wrong with her. So I ask that you use your voice, your platform, to help those that don't look like you. You know, if they do look like you, help them too. Because I don't think we're going to bring change by just Black people or brown people getting together. Slavery did not end because Black people just had enough and went up north. It took white and other races to help us get rid of that. Jim Crow, same thing. It took others to help us get away from that. Harriet Tubman could never have been successful with the Underground Railroad without resources of people that did not look exactly like her. So I ask you to use your voice to stand with someone who may need you, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender association, regardless of their male, female, whatever. Just stand and ask. As you see your friends, Black, white, blue, and green, pink, and orange, how are you today? Really, tell me what's going on with you. Let me be an ear for you. And if you see something going wrong, call it out. Don't risk your job. Don't risk your livelihood. Don't do that. Don't risk your life. No, I'm not asking you to do that. I'm just asking you to stand with people who may be standing by themselves.
Yeah, I hope we talk more about it too.
Yep.
Ways you think that I can contribute.
We certainly will. We will continue. This is one way you can contribute, because the people who have subscribed to my channel and have listened to my chats, I've gotten all kind of feedback. But I think the feedback that I get most is that we're doing a lot of talking and not a lot of acting. So what I hope to have happen is this is for the common person. This is not for the famous, the rich, the powerful, but just people in the trenches. And just to hear voices of what our experiences are can bring enough of a roar that we are heard down here. Because the people that are up there and on television and all that stuff, they're heard. You know, people hear about their pain and they're hurt. Down here, we're not in pain, we're not in hurt. You have a city like Flint, Michigan, where the people have no clean water. And all the money this country has, all the 1%ers, that no one could clean up their water, that they're willing to let these people drink water that was harmful to their body, is insane to me. You know, one of the things I can say about you, I know you work out a lot, you run and you exercise. I mean, take somebody with you, and somebody that doesn't look like you. If you see a tall, dark-skinned Black man, don't assume he's the enemy. Don't assume he's gonna hurt you. He's gonna rape you. He's gonna beat you. We all are who we are. And that doesn't mean that those things do not happen. They do. You know, there are Black people who commit crimes on white people. White people who commit crimes on Black people. Crime is crime, but it does not have a gender or a race. It's just crime. In America, we make up like 13, 14% of the population and more than 45% of the prisons. Why is that? And all of that is because there's something that is thought about a Black or brown human, that they are not human, that we are expendable. I was talking to a gentleman yesterday, and he was telling me, he was from Puerto Rico, and he was telling me about the border. You know, how I know they would have to kill me to keep my child from away from me. Somebody tells me, I'm gonna separate you because the child was born in America and you were born somewhere else. But then, no, you're not separating me from my child. That would have to cost me my life. And these chats, you know, as I think about them every day, is this gonna cost me my job? If it is, then that's God's will, let it be so. But I want people's voice to be heard. And so thank you for sharing yours. Thank you for sharing your ideas. And I promise you, I am going to find time when you and I can just talk about the world and less heavier stuff. Probably not this month, but I promise maybe in July we will. And when this video is converted, I'm going to send it to you for you to review. And if you agree, you say, yes, please upload it. I will upload it and add it to the other chats that there are. I love you as my friend. I love you as my sister. And I can say one funny thing, you know, I invite you to my house and you get in my bed and go to sleep. You know, that is a true.
So embarrassed to fall asleep. I was trying so hard to stay awake. And you were so nice. You and my dad are the only two people who've ever told me it was perfectly fine for me to take a nap.
It was fine.
You didn't make me feel lazy or anything.
Yeah, but I think that says something about you, because here you are in the home of with black people. My husband's here, my son's here, my daughter's here, and you and I are having our regular chat, and you're in the bed, and next thing you know, you're asleep. You didn't have any thoughts, well, I'm in this house with these black people, they're gonna hurt me, or they may not be as clean as I am, or nothing. You just fell perfectly to sleep, slept as long as you wanted to, and then, you know, you talked to me a little bit, you went home, and
I was like, I was not very good company. I was just sleeping.
I just think that says something wonderfully about you. I just do. I think that is wonderful, because a lot of people would have misgivings about that, you know, to drink out of the same cup, to sleep in the same bed, to go to the same bathrooms, you know, all of these kind of things. People put up borders and barriers around themselves to separate themselves. But I can truly say you feel no uncomfortableness with me.
No, I don't. Just love.
Just love. Well,
Love
thank
and
you.
gratitude.
Yeah, love and gratitude here too. Thank you.
I
And
miss you.
I miss you too. And I will send you a copy of this, but you probably will not see me for a very long time, because until they have a vaccine for this disease, I cannot come out. You know, I have
No,
health
I
reasons.
understand.
My son has health reasons, so I will not come out, but you will see me, even if we have to see me just like this.
Yeah. How is Everett doing? Is he doing well? Still in remission?
Oh yeah, still in remission, still pain in the butt, but he's doing really, really well. He is my baby.
Yeah. Well, what about you? Are you able to eat now? Are
Nope.
you able to keep anything down?
Nope. 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 I think I may have told you this. I don't know if I have or not. Let me stop recording.
Okay.